What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of EndZone to EndZone, the pod in which I, Ajusshi, to discuss topics about the NFL, both on and off the field. Now, for a while now, I've been talking about deciding on whether I was going to be doing just a straight podcast or do kind of like a video, and I decided, you know what, let's do the video. I hope that you guys enjoy this because I enjoy doing it, and I hope that you guys join me for the ride. So let's get it. So this week's been a pretty crazy week. Now, there's been a lot of stuff's been happening since I took a break to kind of get all these things ready together. Obviously, the draft has already happened. Teams are going to OTAs, and I'll kind of get into a little bit of that with one team specifically. They're kind of blowing up right now. But two very interesting topics popped up in the NFL stratosphere, and I want to dig right into them. Now, the first one I want to dig into is the new playoff format that has been kind of getting hinted at and pushed slowly by a lot of NFL people. Most of the NFL people inside the NFL circle, they are against it because it's kind of like breaking tradition, right? Because they had set this NFL playoff format a long time ago about, you know, the playoffs are going to include the 4 division winning teams and 2 wildcard teams that have the best records based off of the rules they have already put in place. Now, this new format wants to kind of get it into the NBA style. If any of you guys pay attention to the NBA, obviously the NBA format is they have 2 conferences, right? They have the Western Conference, Eastern Conference. And, you know, it's really just the best. I mean, they have divisions too. Don't get me wrong, guys. In the NBA, they have divisions and stuff, but then they don't really, in terms of like playoffs, they don't really base it off of that. It's just strictly based off of the best teams from each conference go to the playoffs. Now, you know, I've heard this type of format that it should be done for the NFL for a long time. It really got like a big push a couple seasons ago before the Seahawks became who they are. It was right around the time Pete Carroll first came on to the Seahawks, and they had won the division with a 7-9 record. And when they won the division, people were like, okay, yeah, the Seahawks are getting in, but they're not really a legit team. They're only 7-9. You know, they've lost more games. It's just their division sucks, and they just so happen to be the best in their division. So obviously the Seahawks made it, and but you see, like, even though they made it, that was a big moment when they beat the Seahawks, who were the best team, right? Because, well, they weren't the best team, but they were the 5th seed, right? The Seahawks were the 4th seed, and the Saints were the 5th seed, and the Seahawks got to go against the Saints. Now, because they were higher up, right? Higher up in the rankings, they got home field advantage. So this became a lot of the issue because a lot of Saints fans and Saints organization, they felt that, hey, we worked hard off our butts and we have a way better record than them. We should get in. We should be higher up on the list, not the Seahawks. I mean, if you really think about it, that wasn't the only thing. In that season, there were multiple NFC teams that had like a 10-6 record, a 9-7 record, 8-8 record, and the Seahawks made it above them. So we're talking about maybe 4 to 5 other teams that shoulda, coulda, woulda, but didn't because of the NFL format, right? Which is all you need to do if you want to get into playoffs is win your division. If your division sucks, you just got to be the least sucking team in that division. So it does give a cause to concern, right? We've seen it throughout the history of NFL that there are a lot of teams that we were like, you know, if this team, they got hot, if they were in the playoffs, things would be very, very different. But they don't because, well, their division winner was like the best team, and their division itself was just very competitive. So, which is like that every year for the AFC North, the NFC East, the AFC South. Not the AFC South, the NFC South, and the AFC West. They're really competitive against each other. So they always typically have like the second guy is always like missing the playoffs because of a rule. Like that typically is what happens. They're not like the powerhouse controlled AFC East, where the Patriots just completely own that division. It's not like that. Now, what is the new format? So, looking into it, obviously the new format is the gist of it is they want to make the best teams record-wise, okay, go into the playoffs. So it doesn't matter how many divisional games you won. You want the best of the best teams from each conference to go in. Kind of just like the NBA. Which is not a bad idea, guys. It's not a really bad idea. Obviously, issues will come from the fact that they're now just going to look and say, well, divisions are pointless. Division rivalries are pointless. I mean, when you really think about it, they kind of are pointless. Because the thing is, division rivalries are just something for the fans. And I think at this point, we've had so many rivalries that are not even about divisions that people love. The Patriots and Colts rivalry. They're not even the same division, but everyone knows about the rivalry between Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. So it's now become like a historical rivalry that's going to be the Patriots versus the Colts forever. There are other ones. I can't think of them right now, but the point is that rivalries, go beyond just your division. Raiders and Niners, right? Niners and Cowboys. Those are like some of the biggest ones, and they're not even. Raiders and Niners aren't even the same conference, but they're just across the bridge from each other. So that's a big rivalry, the Battle of the Bay, right? And the New York Jets and New York Giants, right? So it's just one of those things where, when you strip away division rivalries, what do you get? Well, you get very, very personal rivalries. Rivalries that percolate around the idea of team success and team non-success against each other, right? And fans don't like that. Like, the Niners and Cowboys rivalry is going to blow up even more if they take that they strip away the division rivalry, right? And they just say, what is a rivalry in the NFC? Well, the Niners and Cowboys, huge rivalry between them. And this dates all the way back to the dynasty days of the Niners and the dynasty days of the Cowboys. Those two rivalries are humongous, and so I think that it does. It will be like a new taste in fans' mouths, where some of them are going to reject it because they're old timers. They like that tradition, and a lot of them are going to be progressive about it and be like, hey, you know what? That's cool. I don't really care about division rivalries anyways. So there's a lot of positives and negatives that come along with it, but I think that with the ultimate outcome of this whole idea of pushing that the best teams should be the one to go to the playoffs, and it should be ranked based off of their record rather than who is seeded what, right? So for instance, last season the Patriots had a worse record than the Chargers and the Chiefs. Well, when the Chargers and the Patriots met up, even though the Chargers worked their butts off throughout the regular season to get a better record, because the Patriots won their division and the Chargers didn't because the Chiefs won it, the Chargers had to go play New England. Now, that always is an issue, right? There is always that issue for organizations and for teams that they look and say, look, man, we worked hard and we worked this hard, and we still had to go and play at your place. That's a little baloney. So they're now it's kind of gaining steam that now we're actually hearing that the NFLPA is considering it, and they're kind of trying to push it because, as you guys know, that the contract talks and stuff between the NFL and the NFLPA are coming to a head. They're getting close to that time again where they got to renew a lot of their stuff, and a lot of people are saying, prepare for a lockout because of stuff like this. So for me, I would like to see the new format because I think that this change of the playoff seeding format would make a very big difference. One, because when you have teams who work extremely hard throughout the regular season to get where they're at, to get a very good record, just to be notified that they have to play away because the rules say so. It's a little annoying, and it frustrates you. So I think that the best teams should be the ones in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, rather than 1, 2, 3, 4 is the division winners, 5, 6 is whoever is then based off of best record. I think they should just change the NBA format and go off from there. And you can always try it. The NFL loves this thing where they always do like, oh, we're going to try for one season and see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, then we can always revert back. They can do that. You can be like, what? That's crazy. Why would you do that for one season? Because, in my opinion, it won't matter. But in a lot of other people's opinion, it might matter. So I hope that they actually get this pushed through, because I would love to see the NFL work this way, because just because you win your division does not mean you're a better team. Plus, on a final note, think about this, guys. You can win your division, not make the playoffs, have a better draft spot. Always remember that. Now, on to our next topic, which is also another very cool thing that the NFLPA decided to bring up. They brought up the idea of an 18-game season, guys. And, as you guys know, if you guys are big football fans, you know that way back, it used to be 14 games. And then it went to 16, and now they're saying that it can go to 18. But you can't just be like, well, we're going to do 18, and we're going to just have 4 preseason games. We're going to have a longer season, essentially, right? 4 preseason games, 18-game season. There's a reason why they can't do that. Just, right, is one, okay, they had to get that worked out with the media outlets. There's a lot of media outlets who air their shows, right, their games, and air other sports games. Now they're gonna have to be able to work collectively together. If they want to push, we want an extra 2 games. Well, you guys can't do that, because those extra 2 games might cause you guys to impede into the MLB, to the NBA, that type of deal. And those guys are not going to be happy about that. But the NFL is a lot smarter than that, and they decided that we're going to cut the 16 game, 4 game preseason, 16 game regular season to 2 game preseason, 18 game regular season. That idea. If you look at the current format, right, 4 preseason and 16 game regular season, what is the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is the 4 preseason games. I mean, that really is the problem, because for us who are fans and of the sport and stuff, we want to see games that matter. Preseason games don't matter. They can just not even air the preseason games. We don't care. Like, the whole point of the preseason is to prepare the non-solidified stars, right? Is to prepare the rookies, the 1-year pros, 2-year pros, the seasonal vets who are just trying to make a name for themselves and stuff. And the guys who are legit, they don't even try in the preseason. They just try not to get hurt. Now, I would love to see an 18-game regular season. That's 2 more games. You guys can do 2-game preseason, don't air it, and then just boom, start with right after the 2 preseason games. Cool with me. That's fine with me. But that's just the fan of the sport in me talking. The objective side in me is looking at it as it doesn't matter. 16 game, 18 games, it's not going to matter. And the reason why I say that is because the issue comes with safety. These players are beating themselves up for 16 games, right? So, and in a way, 17 weeks, right? Because they have a 1-week bye for every team. Now, they're beating themselves up. To put 2 more very impactful games is a lot. 1 is going to be a lot already. And not only that, I was paying attention to some media outlets talk about this topic, and they kind of come to the same conclusion as I do, that if the NFL is talking about player safety, this is definitely not player safety, which we all know NFL doesn't really care. They just care about the bottom line, which is cha-ching, money. They just care about how much money they can rack in. So I look at it objectively, saying that they don't need to change it because 1, player safety becomes an even bigger issue. 2, the preseason is very vital. As silly and tiring it is to watch the preseason, it is very vital to a lot of young careers. And sometimes our stars that we get in the NFL build up their confidence and build up their stories in the preseason. So I think that it is okay to have that 4-game preseason, because that is a good enough time to give owners, GMs, coaches to assess their roster, to assess their players, to make changes and say, okay, let's go with that. Because you don't want to rush that process. By rushing that process, what you have is you have riskier moves. Players start playing riskier. Players start trying to make a name faster, which means things are going to get crazier. Because everybody knows that when the regular season starts, the 22 starters are on the field. The backups are most likely just going to be backups. And you use the preseason to win your starting job. The thing is, in this league, there aren't enough legitimate starters in this league. They're not. They're just not. So I think that this whole 18-game season should get shot down. You allow the guys to play 16 games so that they can rest. You also allow the guys who are trying to become stars, you give them that quarter season length to become stars. Don't take that away from them and force them to make risky moves just to be considered a star in the making. When you do that, because a week is big in the NFL, when you do that, you're going to start seeing guys take bigger chances. And when guys take bigger chances, their safety comes in jeopardy. So the NFL would get hammered over that. And I think that they know that. And I think that's why this whole 18-game season thing is going to get shot down. You guys, and along with everybody else who pays attention to the NFL, you all know the hottest team in the offseason is the Cleveland Browns. Whether you like them, whether you hate them like Colin Cowherd, doesn't matter. Whether you have no opinion on it, everyone knows that the expectations for the Cleveland Browns have gone from nowhere to Super Bowl. That is how big the expectations are for the Cleveland Browns. Why? Because of 2 guys. Alright? Baker Mayfield, their quarterback, and Odell Beckham Jr., their newly acquired wide receiver. But because of that, they are also now becoming under the scope of the media. As we all know, OTAs are going on, right? OTAs players, they start kind of running drills together. You start building that chemistry, that bond as a team, player to player, right? And with your coaches and stuff. Now, what's going on with the Browns is the fact that their two starting wide receivers, Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Juice Landry, are both not there at the OTAs. Everybody else is, and they're not there. Odell showed up for the first day and hasn't showed up since. Now, remember, guys, these OTAs are voluntary. They're not mandatory. The NFL has changed that rule. And so these are voluntary OTA workouts, so they don't necessarily have to be there. There are a lot of players, okay? When I say a lot, I mean a lot of players who take OTAs off. Whether they are old or young, it doesn't matter. It all comes down from the fact, are they a star in the league? Are they a full-time starter in their team? For example, last season, Tom Brady took the OTAs off. He did it to hang out with his family. Also, he probably did it to rest his body, because his body, he was 41. With the Chargers, Phil Rivers this season took the OTAs off. He took the OTAs off, the voluntary OTAs off to spend time with his family. The Chargers also having Melvin Gordon. I think Melvin Gordon is also taking some of the OTAs off. And Tony Gates did that for a few seasons. So there are players who've done that before. So I don't really care that OBJ is taking the OTAs off. Jarvis Landry, same thing. But the person who cares is their head coach. That is the guy that cares. That is actually the guy that really matters in the situation. Their head coach, Freddie Kitchens, really cares about the situation. He's been bothered by it, by the media over and over and over, and frankly, he's more pissed off at the media for continuously asking the same question to him, rather than being more angry at OBJ for not being there. Obviously, OBJ and Jarvis Landry are missing crucial practice time with their guys, running drills, running plays. They're missing time. But if you are that quarterback, right, aka Baker Mayfield, if you are that quarterback, what you do will not be affected by the receivers. At least that's how it should be. The best quarterbacks in this league can take any wide receiver and do something with them. As long as these guys can run routes and make catches and follow the plays, the quarterback should be able to work with them. If we look at the best quarterbacks in this league, it is the exact same thing. Tom Brady, all the time. Aaron Rodgers, all the time. Drew Brees, all the time. Peyton Manning in his career, all the time. Brett Favre in his career, all the time. So always remember that if you are that quarterback, you want to be a star quarterback, an elite quarterback, it does not matter who your receivers are. Plug them in and I'll make it work. Big Ben, same thing. So I think that this issue is just an issue that the media is blowing up, because the Browns are now a very, very saucy team. Like people want to talk about them. They are a very interesting team, and expectations are high on them. But you always have to remember the fact that if the quarterback shows up, that's really kind of all that matters, because he shows up, he's going to work with who's there, and on game day, if those starting receivers don't work, you can always trade them. Not only that, Baker Mayfield last season, it wasn't like Jarvis Landry was his only target that he threw to. Njoku's there, and he's building a pretty good rapport with him. So that is the key, is that your quarterback is there, and these two receivers taking their time off, that's fine, it's whatever. Because if on game day these guys can run routes, which we know they can, and they can make catches, which we kind of know they can, then what's the big deal? That's the thing. But the media is going to do what they do, and they are going to annoy Freddie Kitchens, the head coach, because it's OBJ, and OBJ is larger than life in the NFL. Alright guys, so this is the last topic for today's episode. This is a thing that's been kind of going on for weeks now. It is the Jets GM search. Alright, so obviously about a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Jets fired their former GM, Mike Maccagnan. Obviously, the reasons they gave were that, he didn't give the team the right players to do well last season. Then, this offseason, he made bad moves, overpaying players to bring them onto the team. Whatever. That is totally their decision. Now, who's the overpaid players? Well, there was the notion that he overpaid for Le'Veon Bell. Adam Gase, their head coach, stated that, which they paid him 4 years, $42.5 million. And then they also believe that he overpaid for linebacker C.J. Mosley, who used to be on the Ravens and now on the Jets. They paid him 5 years, $85 million. So those were kind of like the highlighted reasons why he got fired. They did fire him, and then there was this swirling rumor that Peyton Manning was kind of like getting looked at for being the next GM. That rumor was then shot down by Peyton Manning and by the Jets organization. But now we believe that the Jets are trying to get a guy by the name of Joe Douglas. He is the Eagles' vice president of player personnel, and they are so interested in him that they are actually trying to have like another meeting with him. This could lead to them finding their GM. I don't really know much about the Eagles' vice president, but the whole idea is he is the vice president of player personnel. The whole idea is they're trying to bring in a guy who's had experience with managing people, okay? Managing players. That is the whole idea. That is great, because as a GM, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to assess talent, find talent, assess it, bring it in, manage it. That's what your job is as a GM. The only thing I don't like is the fact that the Jets fired him, and the reasons were crazy. They were upset last season that he couldn't bring enough talent to help their young quarterback, Sam Darnold. Then this offseason, they get upset that he goes and splashes in the free agency. But they're like, you overpaid. So what is he supposed to do? I'm looking at it and I'm like, dude, they're just trying to fire him. Because they needed a linebacker, they needed a running back. And he went and got the best linebacker and the best running back in the offseason for our free agency. I mean, come on. If you want those guys, you're going to have to pay them. That's just the simple truth. If you think that Sam Darnold and that porous Jets offense is going to be able to do it without a star running back like Le'Veon Bell, you're crazy. Or you're out of your mind. And if you think that the Jets defense are going to be able to just step their game up without having any sort of linebacker help, you're crazy as well. Jamal Adams, as great as he is, a safety can only do so much. That's just the truth. And you need a linebacker. And C.J. Mosley was the best on the market available. There's a saying that I'm quoting Shannon Sharp, right? Saying free agency isn't about paying for what you believe the talent is. It's about paying who's available. That's what free agency is. You pay the players who are available. And it just so happened this offseason, we had a very talented running back available and a very talented linebacker available. This is true. And here's the thing. If those guys ball out, the Jets are not. It's going to be an afterthought. That's why it's such a baloney thing. Is because if Le'Veon Bell rushes for 1,400 yards, 1,500 yards like he usually does, C.J. Mosley makes clutch plays like he did with the Ravens, this whole overpaying thing is going to be a total afterthought for them. That's why I looked at this firing of Mike Maccagnan and I'm like, this is just simply because Adam Gase, or the owners of them were not getting along with Mike Maccagnan, and they were not seeing eye to eye, and they said, you know what, Maccagnan's got to go because we just brought in Gase, and we can't just bring in Gase and fire him. That's why they're still looking for a new GM. And right now, their interim GM is Adam Gase. If you guys get any chance to see Adam Gase, the guy looks like he is staring into the souls of everybody he looks at. So, I mean, if I'm Mike Maccagnan, I'm like, ooh, I'm out. I don't know what you're looking at, but you look crazy. Hopefully the Jets find their GM, and hopefully it works out for them, because we seriously need someone to challenge the Patriots in that division. Oh my God, please. That is a wrap, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of EndZone to EndZone. And always remember, hit the like, subscribe, hit that bell, ring it, so that whenever I post up videos, you guys get a notification about it. And if you guys want to, always comment down below about any sort of topics that you guys would like for me to cover. And I'll see you guys next time. Ajusshi out.